I'm Amy Quast, Vice President for Development and Alumni Engagement at DePauw, class of '93, and I am here with two of my favorite people, Ken and Carrie Coquillette, class of '82. Thank you for joining me.
Our pleasure, Amy. Always
Happy
good
to be here. Let's cheers.
Cheers. Here.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, so I know a lot about Ken and Carrie already, but I'm really looking forward to hearing these answers because I think I'll gain some more insights that'll be really helpful for me to work with you more. Okay, so first, tell me, what was your go-to order at Moore's?
Well, I would come here on if I did well on an exam, I would treat myself to Moore's.
Only if you did well on the exam?
Only if I did well on an exam. So I was here 2 or 3 times over 4 years. Truth be told, I probably came in before I was 21, but that's a separate story. My go-to order then, hangover tenderloin, order of fries, and a Budweiser.
Wait, so you ate food here?
I ate food.
Oh, yeah.
What? Still do.
I had food here for the first time about a month ago.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's outstanding.
It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Carrie, do I understand this correctly? You didn't come to Moore's?
Never.
In 4 years, you never came to Moore's. Did you go to Toppers?
Rarely. Bars were not my scene.
I get it.
Well, that explains the GPA.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, so Carrie, you didn't come to Moore's. So we'll go down a different path around your GPA.
Okay.
So tell me, you knew you were a DePauw student when?
Well, DePauw student, so I think first week of campus, I was not the homesick one on our dorm floor. Everybody else was homesick,
Where did you
crying.
live?
Rector 2.
Rector 2.
I was not homesick at all, and I just dove in. So full load of classes, played on the tennis team, signed up to be an academic council. I was nominated treasurer and then president of Rector Hall. So I just dove in head first because I knew 4 years flies by, and I knew I had limited time, so I just dove in.
Good for you.
Which most DePauw students do. So.
That really tracks with how I know you today, too. Ken, what class or professor still lives rent-free in your brain?
Rent-free in my brain. Well, I was such a distinguished student that there were so many. I'd have to say it was Gary Lemon, who, the legend, as I like to call him, Gary Legend. He is a legend, and he'll tell you.
Yes, that's correct.
He'll tell you that. But I had Gary for 2 very important classes. One was financial accounting, where he gave me my first and only A, and he goes to great lengths to this day to tell people that. And then I also had him for investment analysis and portfolio management, which was a really, and he counseled me. He said, look, as I wanted to take it as a sophomore, and Gary said, you can take it, you're going to get a C. I said, why? And he said, because it's a really hard class, and you should wait to take it. But he was going to be on sabbatical the next year, and he was the only one who taught it. So I was like, all right, I'm taking this class. And here's the bad news, I got a C. Here's the good news. I'm now chairing the endowment, and so whenever I see Gary, I said, "Doesn't that concern you that one of your C students is now chairing a very, very successful endowment?" And it brings a smile to his face. But I've got all day for Gary Lemon.
So what impact did that have on your career choice? After 37 successful years at Goldman Sachs, was that part of your path?
It was in that, it's a great question. I think that class gave me the foundation for a real interest in financial markets.
Okay.
And there's a story later that's how it relates to this place, which was, I interned after that at a bank in Chicago. I interned at the Board of Trade, and I really became interested in financial markets and how markets take information and process them immediately. And what's really interesting is that one of the cornerstones of Gary's class was something that's called passive investing, where you just buy an index instead of trying to buy individual stocks. He taught that 40 plus years ago. He's still teaching it today, and by the way, it's been remarkably successful for the DePauw endowment.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm a big fan of that. But I think the thing about Gary, And I'd say this is true about many of the professors at DePauw, which is he was always accessible.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to this day. And,
Right.
and that's why he's a legend. And he'll tell you. But he takes a personal interest, and he took a personal interest in me. By the way, I'd give similar chops to Ralph Gray.
Oh, same.
Ralph really nursed me through my freshman year. May he rest in peace. But he and Gary, I've got a great photo of the three of us together. And I said, doesn't it really concern you that one of your worst students is a trustee in an endowment chair? And Ralph just put his head in his hands and cried. It's like you can't predict that.
Well, hopefully you never had to see Sally.
That is true.
Okay, that's correct. That's good.
That is true.
So you guys went to DePauw in the 80s. I like to say you went to DePauw when there were no rules.
Sure.
That is true. The rules changed for me when I got here in 1989.
Okay.
I might attribute it to you all.
Okay.
Anyway, I say that though because Carrie, I want to know, like, what song takes you right back to being here?
Well, it's got to be anything from Donna Summer.
Oh, yeah.
Heaven Knows, on the radio, MacArthur Park, our dorm floor, Erector 2. Every night after class, before dinner, we would crank it up as loud as we could and just dance up and down the hall. And it was just a way to blow off steam. It's still fun memory.
Yeah, takes you right back.
Ken's not a big fan, but oh well.
It's all right. That's all right. Okay.
You want to hear my side of the story?
No.
Okay. Fine.
Fine. All right, Ken.
Yes.
What's your most only at DePauw story? The kind you couldn't make up.
So this gets back to the Gary Lemon story.
Okay.
And Moore's.
Okay.
And I mentioned that I was a struggling student. I mean, I was, Ralph Gray put it well. He said, you're a little bit smarter than you think you are, but not that much. And I was taking senior seminar.
Okay.
And as part of the economics major. And this was fall of '81. Inflation was running rampant. Interest rates were very high. The economy was a mess. And there was a paper that came out on inflationary expectations and how do you manage them to our seminar. In the seminar, you had to write a 12-page paper every other week. It was and is a demanding class. And so the good news for me is this was a topic that I was actually interested in.
Uh-huh.
And bad news for me is that the professor really didn't like me, and it wasn't Gary, and it wasn't Ralph. And so we had this outside speaker come in that day, and his name was Charles Grannon. Charles Grannon was a limited partner at Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
And he was kind of a tough, crusty, very direct person.
But sort of a legendary DePauw family.
Legendary DePauw family.
Yeah.
So Charles Grannon comes in, and he's our kind of our guest host for the day. And he goes and he starts to say, okay, all right, is there anybody who can explain this paper? And the smart ones were in the front row. Carrie wasn't in this class, and he eviscerated them. He just said, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." Then went to the next row. Give me your paper. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Turned to the professor and he goes, "What are you teaching here? Communism? Does anybody here have a grasp on markets?" And I kind of raised my hand, and he goes, "Go." And so I gave him in
Both
2
barrels.
minutes, both barrels of a 12-page paper. And he goes, "That was a very good start." And I go, "That is all I got." And he goes, "No, there's more." And then one of my buddies who was sitting next to me chipped in and had some thoughts. So long story short, a 2-hour discussion. It turned into a 2-hour discussion between just the three of us, me, my buddy, and Charles Grannon. We finish up, and I'll get to the point of Moore's. I went up, shook his hand afterwards, and he goes, where can we get a beer around here? And I go, well, Moore's is, we were over in Asbury. He goes, like 5-minute walk. He goes, let's go. So we literally sat right over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we had a beer, and we talked about the class and everything else, shook hands. And I went back to my room at the SAE house, and I called my dad, who was in the telecom industry, and I said, tell me about Goldman Sachs.
Oh,
What is it? And he said it's a big global investment bank. I don't happen to know anybody there. And so it's just back in the days before the internet, email, electricity, like we were Stone Age, and so and no rules, exactly. And so I get a prospectus and everything else, and I started reading about the firm, and then lo and behold, not upon graduation, but 7 years later, I had a chance to join the firm.
That's amazing.
And so that only at DePauw do you get that small class environment where you cannot hide. You get an outside speaker who comes in who's got real world experience and sits there and can take somebody who have limited ability and limited academic confidence and say, you know what, you've got more than you think, and pushes you.
Yeah.
And so that's my only at DePauw story.
I love it. That's so great. All right, so this next question always worries me a little. I'm far less concerned about asking you than I am about asking Ken. So tell me, if your college self had a signature scent, what would it be?
Well, I have a visual aid.
Okay, put it in front of the camera.
So again, this is mostly freshman year, but also later on. But we were huge fans of Orville Redenbacher and the magical, I don't even know who makes it.
The spinny thing? Was it spinny?
No, it didn't spin, but you put oil and the popcorn kernels and you plug it in and it just...
And you had popcorn.
And then it was amazing how many people came from across the floor, and it was an instant party.
Did you go to the IGA and get butter?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that sits on top and
it melts into it. Yeah, how'd you clean it?
I don't think we ever did clean it. You clean it by making more.
I get it. Okay, that's great. Okay, so for both of you, tell me, if you walked into Moore's and saw your 21-year-old self, what would you say to them? Carrie, why don't you start?
Well, my 21-year-old self, I would say, you've had a great experience. You've had a wide array of experiences, studying abroad, leadership positions, tennis, et cetera, et cetera. I've built great relationships with other students and faculty and staff, developed many skills, and which gave me the confidence to go forward and pretty much take on any challenges that came up. So I would just say, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. You were a student for 16 years, right? 12 years in high school, 4 years of college, and it felt kind of like you're stepping off a cliff, like what's next? But it gave me great comfort knowing that having all these experiences, the confidence that I could move forward and not worry about the future, that it was going to be okay.
Love it. Ken?
So, advice to my 21-year-old self at Moore's. What time of the day?
Not midnight.
Not midnight. My 20-year-old self, first of all, I'd echo some of what Carrie said. First of all, I'd say, relax, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You are far better prepared coming out of this place than you think you are. You've made some remarkable relationships. You've met some great people. You've had some great mentors. One of my great mentors was Ted Coquillette.
Oh.
May he rest in peace. And I actually spent more time in the UB than I did in the classroom or Royal. I mean, that's evident. And I remember, I'll get to the point, but there was a story once where this good-looking, kind of salty, gray-haired guy comes in this beautiful green sweater into the UB, and I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to figure out reasons not to go to class, and I enjoyed working with the two on Little Five and Union Board and things like that, and I pointed at this guy, I go, "Coach, who is that?" And he goes, "That's Tim Ubben. You'll never be anything like Tim Ubben." And he was right, I never will be. But I would tell my 21-year-old self, find the Tim Ubbins, learn what you can from them. They can show up in the form of somebody like Tim, who was a neighbor and mentor, he and Sharon. Catula, where he helped me just grow as a person and connect. But I'd really tell my 21-year-old self, coming out of DePauw, you were very, very well prepared, but every day matters. You got to dig in a little bit more. Get back to the library. Go if you haven't been to the library, go find it. And honestly, do not underestimate the benefits of your experiential learning, whether it be running a fraternity house, IFC, union board, Little Five. All of that to me, that's the beauty of DePauw. It gave me opportunities. Those opportunities, if you capture them, became experiences. Those experiences led to a level of self-confidence where it's like when you get out in the real world, it's like, hey, I got to lead some people, or I got to make a decision, or I have a dilemma. How do I handle this? And it's really that we call it the co-curriculars, experiential learning. That's what matters.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell my 21-year-old self.
Yeah, love it. So I can think of one way in which you are like Tim Oven.
How's that?
You're chairing this campaign.
We are.
That's right. So recently we announced a big campaign. Tell me what made you say yes?
When did you start Pumpkin?
So when Ken became a trustee, that was maybe 14 years ago.
Yeah.
We went to a talk that Tim Oven had given about philanthropy, and we were younger at the time, and philanthropy was kind of not a reality in our life yet, but we were thinking about it. And his speech was pretty much entitled Giving While Living. And he gave many, many examples of giving. Don't write something and put it in your will and have it happen after you pass, but give while you're still alive, and so you can see the benefits of it, and you can see how it's impacting people every day. And that made a big impact on the both of us.
What made you say yes? I mean, you're a team, I get it.
We're a team. We're a great team. I think it's a couple things, in no particular order. One, it's the transformative power of this place, which is we take kids from all backgrounds, all areas, all over the world, and come here into what I call this incubator for leadership. And we take these rough diamonds and we polish them. We take them. But that doesn't happen without resources. It takes great faculty, it takes great housing, it takes great programming, it takes great advising. And none of this stuff comes cheap. We're not, and we will never be a low-cost producer.
That's right.
And so that's kind of point number one. Point number two, I'm a huge buyer of our model, which is our size is an asset.
Yeah.
You can't hide here. You want to Carrie's point earlier, you only have 4 years, and you really have to capture that opportunity. But I think it's really important to our students today and tomorrow to have the kind of support that they need. So as we started talking about the campaign, the goals of the campaign, honestly, I felt the long arm of Tim Oven come around me from above, may he rest in peace. And Tim was basically saying, this is not a question. You're doing this.
It's your turn.
And it's your turn. And interestingly, of the 4 campaigns that DePauw has had over recent history, 2 have been run by Goldman Sachs partners. Oh. And so we're very, it's an honor. It's when the firm heard that I was taking this on, was incredibly supportive. I have since retired, and I can think of no better way to spend my retirement. What I call it Greencastle to Wall Street and back to Greencastle, and it's an absolute honor, and I can think of no better way to spend the first part of our retirement years.
That's right. So we do have a big goal.
We do.
It's $575 million. We talked about it for how long? A good year and a half.
Yeah, right.
About what that goal is?
Yes.
How are you feeling about it?
Highly confident.
Great.
Highly confident. I think the case that we have to make to our, and by the way, our alums are tremendous. They're tremendously generous. They've proven it over the course of time. Right. The remarkable success of this place leads people to great lives. But by the way, it's not just the mega donors. It's the annual fund contributors. It's people, honestly, in their early years out of school.
Yeah,
And
right.
I remember Oven telling me once, like, this is not your last campaign. It's like, boy, did he get that right. But I am highly confident in our ability to raise this money for 2 reasons. One, the potential of our donor base, but more importantly, the story that we have to tell, which I think is one that is it's compelling. I think there's a great investment thesis for our alums, to continue to continue their investment in DePauw, and I think the dividends that this place provides are remarkable. And as donors, we would say the psychic income when we walk around campus and we see students who help. They may have been CPCs or just kids that we convinced to come to DePauw. Who, when you pull them aside and you say, "How's your experience been?" It's like it's irreplaceable, and so we're fortunate in that regard. But, so it was an easy yes.
Yeah. Carrie, besides having Ken having something to do in retirement, what are you most excited about this campaign?
Reaching our goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to get there sooner than we think.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I think we're going to surpass it. And since it's a student-based campaign, I'm so excited for next year's class and the class after that and the class after that, because they're going to be able to have more experiences and have an even better experience than we've had. And we just want to pay it forward and continue the momentum.
I'd also add, the great thing about a campaign is for all alums out there, there was a period where we were disconnected from DePauw. We were out raising our kids, doing, working hard. We got re-involved years ago, but literally, regardless of your vintage, there's always a chance to come back home. We had dinner with Gary Lemon last night, and he was explaining to me the ways I disappointed him in the classroom. I mean, after 50 years, and you know what? And he was right. But I think we would really encourage people, use the campaign as a chance, if you're not connected, to reconnect. There's, we'll have regional events. There's a lot of what's the right way to phrase it? There's just a lot of momentum around the place. It's a vibe. There's a vibe.
There is a vibe.
And I think. I think for those who have not had a chance to come back or come to Moore's and have a beer or come visit Amy, I mean, we would really encourage people, come back to campus. Everything is just, it's really a remarkable environment.
And I think for a lot of people, it looks different, right?
Yes.
The campus looks different. There's new majors, there's new programs. But that underlying experience that has transcended generations still is such a huge part, right, of your experience in leadership and deep relationships and this academic experience. You had the same experience that I had, that Tim Oven had in the 50s, right? Like, it's not, that experience is fundamentally the same here at DePauw.
And the friendships that you make,
That's
and the bonds that you build, and it's funny. I tell the story all the time. I'll be walking out of the train station in Chicago, and people will see my. I always wear DePauw swag. It's a character trait, and they'll see the DePauw belt. And the number of times I'm pulled aside by a parent who says, "My daughter is having a great experience. She's doing this. She's doing that. She went abroad." And she's it's just there's a repeating narrative. And again, back to the campaign. The financial resources to make that possible for the next generation of students, and quite frankly, to make the investments that we need to continue to make in faculty, are just that's our investment case.
That's right.
And that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you,
Let's
Amy.
cheers one more time.
Cheers. Cheers to Old DePauw.